This is the Cool Photo Tools Podcast, episode number 66, May 9th, 2016.
Are you sick of trying to learn all the new photo software? Are you tired of hearing about the next big thing in photography? Well, neither are we. Welcome to Cool Photo Tools with Jay Piersdorf and Rhonda Spencer.
Today's sponsor is Audible.com, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free audiobook of your choice at www.audibletrial.com/coolphototools. Good morning, cool heads. Good morning, everybody. This is Jay Piersdorf, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, Rhonda Spencer.
Hey, good morning. Hey, Jay.
Good morning.
How are you?
Welcome back. It seems like it's been an entire week since we've done this.
Yeah, here we are, back again.
So a lot of things have happened, since the week has gone by. I just got back from the National Association of Broadcasters convention in Lost Wages, Nevada.
How did that go?
It was interesting. I have some pictures here. I'll show you in a bit. They had a lot of equipment there that's really geared toward professional broadcasters. I'm surprised, with a show like, with a name like the National Association of Broadcasters, they really did have broadcasting equipment there. It was like, really, you guys? Wow. There was a ton. There was like about 103,000 people attended the show this year.
Wow.
And, mostly high-end video gear, for television stations and that kind of stuff, but also drones. It was kind of like the drone show. Like maybe a third of the press, probably wasn't that much, but it seems like a third of the show was quadcopters and hexacopters and all kinds of news gathering equipment based from drones, cameras and drones. They had some that were $20,000-$30,000 that could hold 13 to 15 pound cameras and fly them for a half an hour. And I guess if you think about it, it makes some sense because when you compare to how they used to have to do that with a helicopter, with the guy hanging out the door of the helicopter and holding his video camera, helicopters are really expensive to run. So even at $20,000, a drone is not even close to approaching what rotorcraft costs. So I think we're going to see, we're already seeing a lot of this, but for the average professional photographer, you might drag it out once in a while for an outdoor wedding, but unless you have a real specialized use for it, I'm not buying one anytime soon. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't have any on my wish list. To me, there's still more toys.
So you're saying that you don't want to purchase one of those anytime?
No. I've got plenty of other things that I want to spend my money on.
Okay. Well, I see. Let's start off with what's on your computer screen. You want to talk about that?
Okay. Talking more of overlays and stuff. Seems like there's a lot of people doing this stuff now. It's really become very, very popular.
We've had some of those on the blog before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
And I know you've purchased some.
I have.
I have two, actually.
I have the flower and shrubs overlay here.
Okay, so let's tell people what this is for those that are listening without the benefit of video. What are you looking at?
What am I looking at? This is software that you use in Photoshop. It is actual image overlays. So you've got an image that is high resolution that, say, you have a background that's really not that special, not that pizzazzy. Maybe you want to add a couple extra stuff.
So you took a portrait, in other words, and
exactly.
then you don't think the background is all that interesting because of time constraints sometimes,
Or, as they're showing on this one here, this is using, where they're using kind of an out of focus
this is
overlay.
The Bellevue-avenue.com, the flower shrub overlays set.
And So you have this one I actually own too. This is butterflies.
So you could add butterflies into the scene. So you'd have Photoshop. You're going to manipulate your picture in Photoshop, and then you're going to add either these flowers and shrubs, to kind of make. And they're going to be in the foreground probably on some of these, right? But some of them are
foreground. Some of them are background.
Yeah, you could set them to focus, to blur to the backgrounds. Yeah, so those are cool.
Yeah. So, but I'm seeing a lot of people make a lot of different overlays. Okay, so these guys aren't too terribly expensive. Their overlays right now, you're looking at $28.80, and they have several different.
$28.80.
Correct.
It's on sale at the moment. But you might, they're maybe $32 if they're not on sale, something like that. So
you have Jackie Jean, who also does overlays. And this is a nice overlay.
This is at shopjeanphotography.com. That's JEAN. We'll put links to these in the show notes so you can find out things that Rhonda's talking about.
She does overlays too, and actions and presets. But the best that I found, this is called
Ash Design.
ASHE. Now, their overlays are very cool. So when you drop these into Photoshop, you will have several different actions that you've got over here, and you'll have one where you put your photo in, and they use Topaz Remask. They suggest Topaz Remask for cutting your imagery out.
Extract your picture. And the picture that we're looking at has a little girl in a white dress standing out in a field. And so you're going to use Topaz. What was it again?
This is Topaz Remask that they use.
So to extract the little girl from the picture.
And then
this, you get both the background and the foreground. To overlay.
So it looks very natural.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is. And she makes several different of them. And look at the price she's got them on right now.
Okay, so
they're normally $20, which $20 for these are not bad.
Yeah, of course, you never know when somebody's listening to this, so you can have to check the website for the sales.
Like I said, even with that, $20 isn't bad.
Yeah, no, $20 would be a no-brainer if you use that to sell a portrait to your client. That would be something so interesting and special like that.
Especially if you've ended up having.
Does she have other styles while we're looking?
She does. Let me go back.
This is at Ash Design.
Ash Design.
ASHEDESIGN.com.
These are all here. Different overlays. In fact, this one, I don't know if it'll still be. It's for freebie, so that you can see what it's about.
So worth checking this website to see what they've got. And sometimes you get on the mailing list of these places, and they'll send you specials. So that's always a good thing to do. If you're interested in the product, get on their mailing list.
Okay, look at this one. They're very easy to use. So here's your cutout. Here's where you've put your subject in.
So this is a little girl that was on a white studio backdrop, and with a studio setting, and then she's done the extraction, and then just dropped her into this with a very nice blurred bokeh background and a field of flowers in the front. Which you overlaid on the front. So it looks very convincing.
Yeah, they are.
It's done very nice.
But they're so easy to use.
So have you personally used some of these?
I have. She sucked me in with the free one.
as is the...
yes, as is
why
they did that, which is this one. And I thought, that's really cool and fun to use. So, like I said, with them currently on sale, and like I said, I don't know how long they're going to be on sale. I thought, how can I go wrong?
Yeah, that seems like a bargain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're, like I said, so way easy to use.
Yeah, something if you want to spark up your portraits.
Say you have a portrait that's necessarily not all that jazzy.
You want to do an outdoor portrait, maybe it's raining cats and dogs out, and you're stuck in the studio. This would be a really good option. Now, these look, of course, she's showing children, small children. These, but you could use them for other things as well.
Yeah, adults easily.
Yep. Yeah.
If you're into doing engagement photography.
Now you would have to spend a little more time in Photoshop, to work with some of these. So this is not going to be.
Yeah.
you're not going to do this for a very inexpensive portrait because it is going to take you time,
Yeah.
to
but
work with these.
Actually, the longest time that's going to take you is using the Topaz Remask to extract your stuff, because after that, dropping it in.
Have you used Topaz Remask?
I own Topaz
Yeah, I do
Remask.
too. Yeah, it works very nicely. You can also use, Photoshop if you're skilled at that, to
And
use.
she actually, when you download one of her actions, she gives you a 15% off Remask coupon that drops down with it. So if you don't own Remask, you can actually purchase it.
Okay.
How much is Remask going for right now? Let's
I think
look.
it's about $80 or something, isn't it? It's, it's well worth it, whatever it
It
is.
is.
Yeah, I can't. And again, if you get on their mailing list, they will send you specials. Or if you just watch the coolphototools.com blog, we always give a shout out when Topaz, one of our good friends, whenever they have sales, we always announce that on the blog.
Remask, $69.99.
Okay,
and
$70. Yeah, that's.
And then she gives you a 15% off coupon. But look how nice, if you guys aren't familiar with Remask in itself.
It's a Photoshop plugin. You can use standalone too, though.
Yes,
can't
you can use standalone now,
so you don't
too.
have to have Photoshop.
Look how nice this does. I mean, it would take you a full day.
Yeah, Rhonda's on the topazlabs.com website looking at the Topaz Remask, and she's flipping back and forth between...
Actually, I'm not. They're doing it.
Oh,
See? My hands are free.
It's going back and forth between the mask of a tiger against a kind of an out-of-focus background there.
And showing you how nicely that it does all those little hairs.
Yeah, check that out if you need to mask out or to extract images from a picture and put them on a different background.
Or if nothing else, it's just fun to play with.
Yeah, it works really well. Works good. So I wanted to show you some of these pictures here from National Association of Broadcasters. And so here, this is the Multicopter Warehouse. Has a huge, they sell all kinds of different robotics and drone stuff. And I don't know if you can see in this photo, but they had all the drones, to demonstrate these flying around. They were all in net cages, all these enclosed, huge floor-to-ceiling nets, so that if they got away, if they decide to go rogue, they won't hit anybody. They'll just stay inside their enclosure, their net on those. And just to show you, there was a ton of people there. It was, if I can get my
So did you have fun?
Here. Yeah, well, I don't know. It wore me out, really. I don't know how much fun that was. I don't know that there also was a lot of stuff that would interest the average photographer. Like I say, it was really specialized to video. The folks from twit.tv were there. There's Leo Laporte. They broadcast some of their shows from the live studio booth there. And one of the technologies that they were demonstrating was a cellular device, cellular phone device. This is the live studio people. So if you needed to transmit a live TV show from somewhere that didn't have any network or internet connection, you could use one of these devices and hook your camera or your switcher up to this to broadcast your TV show, and it would use the cell phone networks. And they could use up to like 14 different cell phone connections at once to multiplex the channels together. So that pretty much means if there's a cell phone signal, the satellite broadcasts from the war zones or the overseas or the foreign places where there isn't any traditional. If they got cell signals, this is the way to go. These are pretty affordable. They're some $2,000 to $5,000 plus some other things. But kind of an interesting thing. But I really didn't see any stuff laying around for the average photographer, like you and me. That I probably won't go again next year just because it was a little out of our wheelhouse. I was thinking maybe there would be, because we do a video podcast. I was thinking maybe there would be something more exciting. But and it's high-end video camera stuff. It's you don't really realize how much Canon and Panasonic and some of these companies, you think, well, we just think about their consumer cameras or their pro cameras for stills, which they do shoot movies now too. But they have high-end studio equipment that for television studios, like your local news gathering studios that are, multi-thousands of dollars, and switchers and faders and boards and lighting systems and all that kind of stuff is there. Anyways, so much for that. Okay, Rhonda, back to you.
Hey. So I don't know if this is really photography related, but it's geek related. Most of us people who are photographers are geeks too.
Yeah,
And
pretty much. You noticed that, huh?
Yeah. So I saw this and I thought, this is really cool. These are hologram glasses.
Yeah, Microsoft has been working
Yeah.
this.
Look at this.
They've demonstrated a couple things, but they're not alone. There's a bunch of companies that are getting on the bandwagon to this, what they call virtual reality or augmented reality. And the difference is virtual reality is you put one of these headsets on and then you are in an immersive, entirely different computer-generated world, whereas you look to the left or right, you see things that are in that computer world. Now, augmented reality, which I think is what the Microsoft glasses are designed to do. You still see real world. You look around and you still see the things that are they're in your room, for example. But then you can see other things that they've added to it. So you might see some kind of a character standing on the desk, a dragon, or something like that, or maybe a tool. Instruction manual on assembly that you can then reach out and rotate, but yet you see the room that you're in behind it. So that's augmented reality. And as long as we're on the subject here, this is different than 360-degree pictures, like the Ricoh Thetas, some of the new cameras that are coming out that will shoot video that's 360 degrees, or like what they call a photosphere. And that's not virtual reality. That's 360-degree photography, because it's the real world and you're seeing it where you can turn around and your headset lets you see different things. Okay, didn't mean to hijack that for you. But,
that's all right. I'm kind of cruising around looking at their video that they got running, kind of showing. You can talk. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, so do you have a price on these?
I don't yet, but it looks like, it just looks interesting and fun and something really new that's coming out.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big push.
Can you imagine having this, all right, and say you want to watch Game of Thrones? You're not just going to watch Game of Thrones. You're going to be in Game of Thrones. I mean, it'd be right there up front. What a great way to be able to watch movies and such.
Maybe?
Why maybe?
Well, because if you think about this, the idea behind the 300, you're talking about like 360-degree video. That's really what you're talking about. So if something's happening behind you and in front of you, then you have to actually physically turn around to see it, because the headset senses where your head is at. So if you're watching Game of Thrones, for example, now the producers are going to want to direct you towards something happening that's important. They don't want you to miss this. If you're looking around on the left watching the flowers bloom, and you miss the entrance of the dragon, then you're going to be like, well, what's happening here? Because you missed something. So I think this is going to be a slippery slope kind of thing. I don't know that we know exactly how to use this yet. And in the theater, well, you're going to have a theater where everybody can swivel in their own chairs, right? Because you're going to have to turn around. And again, they want to direct you towards certain things happening. I don't know. I don't know that this is, because I've got the Ricoh Theta, and I've been playing with that a little bit, the Theta S, and it does that. It shoots the photospheres, and inevitably it ends up, it's useful like for real estate, if you want to walk into a room and look around, see what the room is like. But if you are doing something where you're focused on an animal doing something or whatever, then there's one scene that's interesting and the rest of the scene is not. They're just people standing around looking, the back of the wall, the ceiling, the floor. It's it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It will.
But I think we don't have an exact handle on what we're going to do with it yet. Virtual reality I can see, because there you're in a world that you wouldn't be in otherwise. So maybe that would be like the Game of Thrones adventure game, might take advantage of that. But I don't know that we will see this just as a TV program or...
it just seems like it has a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I do think there's some possibilities. I don't think we know exactly what they are yet. It's a thing I was getting at.
Okay.
So, we were talking about a few weeks ago the Nikon D5,
right?
Which announced some of these insane ISO sensitivities, the 3,280,000 ISOs. And so our friends at dpreview.com got their hands on one and took a look at some of these high ISO settings on there. And have you ever used the DP Review, the comparisons where you can compare different cameras based on, you can go through here and you can just pick out which cameras you want to compare. Like here we're comparing a Nikon D5 at this high ISO, and you can compare it this way, and then you can move around in the scene like this. Have you seen this? Yeah, this is really cool.
That is cool.
So, like for example, let's say we wanted to compare it to something like the Canon 5D Mark III, which is a very popular camera. If I could find it here, Mark 5D Mark III. Here it is. Okay, and its ISO does not go as high, so that wouldn't be fair.
Right.
So let's see if we can get it down to something comparable. Okay, and you can see right away there's some color differences, and the Nikon's doing very nicely in comparison. All things being equal. But then when that's the highest the 5D Mark III can go. So what we're looking at here, I'll put a link to this in the show notes so you can do this for yourself.
Handling color noise really well.
Yeah. So, but what we were interested in is some of these really crazy high ISOs. And here you can see that they come at a cost. It's cool, that they have done this. That this is really an amazing. You can shoot in total darkness almost. You have to have some light, but you can shoot in very low light situations. But it's not usable. Yeah. It's it's kind of like, really, Nikon. That ended up kind of just being, it got our attention, but it was really kind of clickbait because it's not usable. You couldn't do anything with this image.
No.
It's just too much noise. And even if we go down another couple, it doesn't really start getting usable.
What kind of caught my eye was this LensBabies Pro Consumer Pro 2.
Well, that's easy for you to say.
I know, it isn't really, but I like it because of how it looks. It's funny. I don't think I'd ever buy a LensBabies, but I like how this looks. It's a nice tilt shift.
So this is the LensBabies Composer Pro 2. And this is using the Edge 50 optic on top of it. Okay.
So it's actually a tilt shift, a true tilt shift.
Yeah, it's a tilt.
No, I think it's a tilt shift.
It doesn't shift unless it moves the film or the sensor plane, I think. Well, if we're wrong, viewers, listeners, let us know. Drop us a line.
They actually call this, though, a tilt shift because of you can tilt it and shift it. I think that's what they actually call this.
Okay, maybe. Okay. Maybe. If you can move the lens off axis, it might be a shift. And it's a long time since I've used a view camera. A very long time. Anyway, so this is from LensBabies, and for those of you that maybe don't know, LensBabies makes these wacky optics that don't really have an equivalent in Canon, Nikon, or Pentax's line. They generally are kind of soft focus or blur or vignette the edges, typically used in flower or portrait, special effect type of stuff, and they're kind of cool. They don't give them away.
No, they don't. For $24.95.
Okay. Do you have one of these?
No, I don't. And what I was really surprised is how many different versions of LensBabies they make now.
Yes.
I mean, this is the 50, and I think this particular, the Composer Pro, comes in the 80, the 50, and I think there's a smaller on it too, lenses. But they now make just a ton of different lenses.
So you can go to LensBabies.com and take a look at all these. And there's a new one that came out too, that the Twist 60, which we will maybe talk about next week, which is the Twist 60 kind of imitates the old Petzval design lens where the bokeh is kind of swirling in the background, and they have some soft focus and vignetted edges.
This is kind of a pretty lens.
Yeah, and I had the Velvet 56. I had the black one there for a few weeks to try.
And
I liked it, But see, it's like it's $500, and I didn't think the machining was precision enough on it where when it attached to the camera, this was the Canon version that I had, it would spin, as you, and because it's a manual focus lens,
Right.
so you're rocking the focus back and forth to get it sharp, but then it would spin, it would rotate against the mount. So it would there would be a slop for a few millimeters in the center of the focus where it would drag the lens, the whole lens would rotate in the mount, rather than before the focus would engage. That drove me nuts. That's for a $500 lens. I think the machining could be tighter on that. And I've seen other LensBabies that less expensive that didn't have that issue. So I don't know what happened there, but I couldn't work with it. But that could be just me. Could be.
Yeah.
Just
See,
me.
here's the other composers. They've got a 35, an 80, and a 50.
These are cool, particularly. If you're looking for something different, kind of special effect, and they won't break the bank. I mean, $500 is still not cheap, but
No.
but if you have this if you do a lot of senior portraits, you do babies, this kind of stuff, or flowers,
or if you like the miniaturization type look.
yeah,
Also,
I don't like that.
I know, but people like to play. It's all about playing.
What Rhonda's talking about is the tilt shift effect, and you can do it in Photoshop too. Maybe not as easily, but where the top and the bottom of the horizontal image is blurry. So that generally indicates very shallow depth of field, so it speaks that you're photographing a miniature or a miniature set, even though you're not. So it makes it look like, hey, that's not the real Eiffel Tower. That is a miniature that you photographed. No, it's an effect.
Like this one here.
I don't get it.
That one.
It's probably just me.
Gives that miniaturization look.
Yeah. Well, there's a more interesting thing that I saw a few years ago, where this guy he had a model train set, where he'd make the towns, and I'll have to see if I can find this, but this has been a few years, so might not be able to. Anyway, so he took some of these little model train sets and towns that he made them as realistic as he could, and then he photographed them, to try to make them look like a real size train and a real size city.
Interesting.
So, of course, the problem you run into is you close down your lens opening to f/16 or f/32 or whatever, the smallest one you got, to get as much depth of field as possible. But then you're moving as close as you can to the subject, so your depth of field is still shallow. You still only have a few inches of areas that's focused, closer to that side of focus and behind that side of focus. So it always gives it away as being a miniature. So the way he solved it was he put a piece of aluminum foil over the front of his lens, taped it over there. So you set the lens to wide open, and then he went and got some needles, like sewing needles that come in different gauges, and he found some very, very small ones, and then right in the center of the tinfoil, he would poke a pinhole with one of these needles. And so you'd have an insane f-stop, like f2048.
Wow.
So it'd be a very, very tiny, and that would give him the depth of field. And of course, you'd need to make a time exposure. You put it on a tripod, and his exposures were like 5 or 10 minutes. And this was back in the days of film. But that gave you enough depth of field where it looked realistic. It looked like the real deal. It was like, as soon as you have those little tiny lens openings, with that kind of depth of field, then all of a sudden you buy it. You look at that, you don't see the shallow depth of field. Oh, this was a real photograph of a real locomotive, engine, or whatever. So there you go. You don't have to have the f-stop in the middle of the lens. You could put it on the front of the lens, just put a piece of aluminum foil, use a very tiny needle or pin to poke a very small hole there. And so if any of our listeners want to try that and send us some examples, we'd love to see that. You can get a hold of us at coolphototools.com. Just click on the contact button and let us know you're thinking of us.
It sounds like fun. I like to play.
Yeah, Rhonda's going to do this next week.
Well,
Maybe.
No, I could.
You could, I know.
And then
It'd be a lot more fun than making a real scene look like a toy. Make a toy scene look real. Do you think that'd be more fun? It appeals to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just in one of those moods today.
Well, kind of like when I was playing, I got some of those little railroad people one time.
Yeah.
And took a ice cream scene. All right, I did a couple of scoops of chocolate ice cream, put some whipped cream on the top, and then took these little skiers, made it look like they were skiing down.
I remember
through.
that shot. Yeah. I remember that.
So that falls under playing, yeah. Sometimes when you're bored and yeah. My husband was really upset because he wanted to eat the ice cream. Kept saying, "Why have you got that ice cream in the freezer?" It's like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. It's a photo op.
Wow. Tight. So coming up, what's today? Today is, what did I say it was? May 9th. Okay, so coming up on May 21st, which is a Saturday night. Those of you that are in Tucson or planning on visiting Tucson, if you'd like to join us at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum at 8 o'clock on summer Saturday nights out there, what they call cool summer nights, because when the sun goes down, it's a lot cooler. Rhonda and I will be in the Warden Oasis Theater giving a presentation on how to take great animal photos at the Desert Museum. And we'll probably be talking something about how Rhonda aced the Arizona Game and Fish calendar cover last year. And so we'll see if we can get her to give up her secrets and tell us how she did that exactly, so that that maybe you would have a shot at it again this year.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that'll be a lot of fun, and we'd like to see you.
Yeah.
Come out and say hi and meet and greet and see how we're doing, and it'll be a lot of fun. It's just a short 45-minute or so presentation.
Bring your cameras.
And of course, the Desert Museum is always a wonderful place to be in the summer, especially in their cool summer nights where they're open till 10 o'clock Saturday evenings. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Like I said, bring your black light, bring your cameras.
Yep. Black lights so you can find scorpions.
That's it.
Yeah, they're fun. It can be. Don't pick them up. Don't sit on them. Just take pictures of them. Shine your black light on them.
Shine your black light on them. And bring a flashlight.
Yeah, and a flashlight. Yep.
Regular flashlight is good.
Yeah. All right. You know what time it is?
What time is it? Lunchtime?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry.
But it is time to say goodbye for this week.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right. See you.
See you soon. Log
soon.
on to
soon as of next week.
Yeah, soon.
Stay in touch with us. Drop us an email.
Drop
Let
us
us know
a
how
line.
we're doing. If you've got questions, we want to hear all that good stuff. All right.
All right.
Talk to you then.
See you then. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Cool Photo Tools podcast. Sign up for our mailing list at coolphototools.com. Got a question? Send an email or MP3 audio file to info@coolphototools.com. Thanks for listening.